Did you get any evidence in future years that he had kept his lessons that he received from Dr. Schwarz?
No, I never did. I never did. And he was the president for 34 years.
Yeah, I know.
And like most Indonesian military dictators, which is what he was, he kind of got into the corruption end of it toward the end.
Yeah,
but at that time, he was as pure as a driven snow. He was a boy from Central Java who became a general in the Indonesian army, and by hook or crook and by accident became president, became the person who
I know, but
replaced
wasn't
Sukarno.
there at some time during these 34 years when you would have seen him on TV and he would have been trying to speak English? Did you ever see it?
I cannot remember ever seeing that.
What you mean? You think he never did, or you think you just missed it?
I missed it.
You could have taken credit.
Well, I could have probably, but
All right. So how long did this last in Jakarta? Then what?
about a year and a half.
Okay. Then what?
Then I was recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency.
This comes out of nowhere?
Well, we worked with the CIA. We were DIA.
Right.
The attaché office is
Right.
DIA. So I worked with the CIA folks in
Yeah, but somebody
Jakarta.
else had to make the decision to say, we want you to join the company.
Yeah, the chief of
it
sta-
wasn't like you went out and applied for it.
the chief of station did.
Okay.
Said, what are you going to do when you leave the Navy? And then I said, well, I'm going to do a residency someplace. He said, wouldn't you like to come work with us for a while? Because you're single. You've had experience now. You've been in Southeast Asia now for more than 2 years.
And you're inoffensive.
That's right. I'm inoffensive. And I thought I was invisible, invincible, and bulletproof, of course, and found out later those are the 3 final stages of drunkenness. Anyhow, I was recruited by the agency, went back to the States, again for just a few weeks. I then went to Laos. Way up in northern Laos at a place called Ban Hui Sai, just on the Mekong River.
Now are we into like 1968, 69?
Actually, we're in 68.
Okay,
Wait a minute. Yes, we're in 68.
okay.
Was there, and I'm going to say 4 months. Basically, there was a crew there of agency people, and we had medical equipment. And we could do things, but what we were doing, we're helping the tribal people for the most part, who were loyal to the government in Vientiane, and not the path at Lao. And the one thing that happened there was down the Mekong River one day comes a very nice tribesman who turned out to be Yao,
What does Yao mean?
I don't know what it means. It's the name of the tribe.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have no idea what the word itself means in Lao.
Okay.
He came down, and through 2 interpreters, Yao to Lao and Lao to English, it said that his wife was in labor and the baby wasn't coming. How long does it take to get down here? Well, it turned out it took him about 2 hours. And going straight north, he was darn near in Burma. And I should say Myanmar, but then it was Burma. And I said again, back through the 2 interpreters, I said, you have to bring her down here because it doesn't sound like things are going to happen, and that's bad. He goes back up the Mekong. We don't think he's going to return, but maybe about 6 hours later, he comes back and he's got his wife with her.
She was in labor all this time.
She was in hard labor.
Oh, man.
We had enough equipment that we were basically, it was kind of a field aid station, a battle aid station that we had, but we could do things. I had done cesarean sections as an intern at LA County Hospital. That's why I say the hands-on helped.
Right.
And he'd say, well, as an intern? I'd say, yes, as an intern. And so did all the interns who spent 2 months on OBGYN. And we gave her drop ether and as an anesthetic. And I did a cesarean section on this woman. I mean, it wasn't a nice little incision. No, I did, pubis to umbilicus.
Right.
And got a good baby. It was a little boy. We got a good baby, got her sewed up. We kept her with us for about maybe 2.5, 3 weeks till she healed up.
Had she had other children?
Yes.
Okay.
And that child was with her.
Was it really? No kidding.
Everybody came. we told the husband that if she's going to need food, you're going to have to go out and get her food. So he disappeared for a couple of days. We're saying, God, where's he gone? He comes back and he's got a lot of food for her, mostly rice and everything. And he said, essentially through the two interpreters, he said, I have something for you. And I said, what? And he pulls out this bottle, and Bill, as God is my witness, it's a bottle of Dubonnet.
Really?
And I said, what? Well, he bought it over in Thailand. He went over across to
Well, that's
Thailand
pretty
and he got
good.
it there.
He knew what you probably
Yeah,
liked.
that's right.
You probably did like it,
Yeah.
right?
So I did. So after a couple of weeks, she was okay, and off she went with the babe in arms, back down the hill to the Mekong and up into the mists of the Mekong, and never again to be heard from.
Well, no, but seriously, that was, I would think, a major PR breakthrough for what the U.S. was trying to accomplish in that area with these people, right?
I don't think we didn't use it for PR.
Well, no, but I mean,
They thought we were good guys.
yeah, well, you were supposed to be encouraging friendly
Yeah.
relations between the government and the U.S. That was your job.
That's what we were trying to do.
And this had to be a big plus. I mean, word gets around.
Yeah, the CO, we flew in from Thailand.
Yeah.
Black, so-called,
Yeah.
unmarked Air America aircraft
Right.
to a runway that was cut out of the side of the hill, and you landed going uphill and took off going downhill. But the senior officer there was an American, 6'4", blonde, blue-eyed fellow from Indiana named Bob Thomas. And then we had to kind of laugh because we were supposed to not be there. We called him Captain Indigenous. And anyhow, that was an interesting tour of duty. And then a guy walked up the hill one day who was a CIA guy who'd been there for many years, named Tony Pochepka. They called him Tony Po, and said, they want you in Bangkok. And I said, okay. So I actually went down to where that little airport was and got on a C-47 that belonged to the Lao Air Force and back down to Vientiane, and then flew Thai Airways down to Bangkok, went to see the chief of station in Bangkok. He said, you're going back to Indonesia. And I said, okay, and then they had to work through some identity things, some identification things, and who I'm going to be when I go there, et cetera, and then probably a week, 10 days later, I took off and went back down to Jakarta. I got off the airplane, and the first person I met was Ann Louise Ennis from Kalispell, Montana, who became my wife.
Wow.
Later on.
Just by happenstance, she happened to be the first person.
She was there with the embassy doctor who was, as I said before, worked for the CIA as well. And so she came out with him to meet me, and that's when I met her.
So was she CIA too then?
Yes.
Well, it's kind of like Paul and Julia Child.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Yeah, she was. And she's a graduate of the University of Montana. And she went to work in Madison, Wisconsin after she graduated and was bored and interviewed with the CIA, and they hired her.
I'll be darned. That's amazing.
So, yeah, anyhow, I spent in this particular operation another probably 6 weeks in Indonesia, and that was completed. And then I went back to Vietnam for a year with the agency. And then
how about Ann?
Ann's tour in Indonesia was up about the same time my tour in Vietnam was up, and I accepted the residency position at Harvard in otolaryngology.
Now,
she went back to CIA headquarters, and then in January
in D.C.
Yeah, in 1971.
Yeah.
Actually, Langley, Virginia. We got married in January 1971, and lived in Boston for 4 years.
Well, now, after you'd performed the C-section up in Laos, how come you didn't go into OB-GYN? Is that really what convinced you to go into otolaryngology?
I was, I kind of wanted to do otolaryngology. There were a lot of things in it that I was interested in, and the fact that we had done so much OB-GYN and so much general surgery as interns at Los Angeles County General served me well.
So, how long was the stint getting your degree up at Harvard?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and you and Ann were married
Yep.
at that point. And you had children?
One daughter.
One daughter. And she was born while you were there?
She was born in Boston, that's right.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
And then I did what I had intended to do really all along. And that is, I took a teaching position at the Harvard Medical School for a year, and then I did what I had intended to do all along, which is go back home.
Okay.
And it was all right with Ann. And Brennan at that time was, I think, just a year old. And we went back to Battle Creek, and I set up my private practice there.
In otolaryngology?
In otolaryngology.
Okay.